cinema, where your weekends come to life.
Screenzilla's going viral, and so are his tickets. Join our maritime tour for a double feature that's bursting with laughter and generosity, featuring films, bouncy castles, and big checks for the IWK. Secure your spot starting April 19th. It's blockbuster charity at its best.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Corcoran Entertainment Show. I'm your host, Franky Corcoran. How's everyone doing? Is everyone having a good week? Enjoying the summer so far? Or spring, whatever the hell you want to call it. Wind chill goes up and down. 1 second it's hot, 1 second it's cold. So we just have to deal with it until the first day of summer, whenever that is. So anyways, guys, for those guys who are unaware, it's show week this week. It's not like I talk about it every time I do this podcast. Love, Loss, and What I Wore at James M. Hill this Saturday night. This Saturday, May 11th. I can't believe we're already here. Doors open at 6:30. Show starts at 7. Get your tickets now, ASAP, at Branded on the Boulevard. You can get them at Town Hill Jewelry or Creative Grounds or online at Eventbrite. We highly, highly encourage you all to do so and just come and support a great cause, because all donations or all proceeds go to Mental Health and Addictions Miramichi. And we're all working so hard for it. I'm going to have the cast on next week to talk about the show as a whole. And yeah, guys, so please come on out. It's going to be a great time. And just share the posts, tell your friends. And tickets are going quick, so definitely get them now, ASAP. And yeah, I think that's all I got for plugs this week. So my guest today is Nathalie Galde. Nathalie, my God, she does everything. She's a producer at Bad Meal Inc. She is a performer and teacher at the Annoyance Theatre in Chicago, Illinois. She's the host of the Top 5 Chew podcast. And she's also an actress. You can catch her on the YouTube series Real American, where she plays a character named Anastasia. Absolutely fantastic. Great conversation. We talk a lot about her projects, balancing personal life with her professional life, and so on and so forth. I'll let you guys find out what's going on in the interview. I won't spoil it all for you. So later in the show, I want to give my thoughts on whether I think Quentin Tarantino is really retiring after his 10th movie like he intends to, or is it all a ruse? And then next up, we are going to talk about the trailer for Mufasa, The Lion King, which absolutely blew me away, but we'll get on that later. Anyways, guys, without further ado, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show today. All right, hey everybody, welcome back to the Corcoran Entertainment Show. I'm your host, Franky Corcoran, and today I am joined by a multi-talented entertainer. I mean, she does everything: acting, producing, writing, yeah, a little bit of everything. And she's also a podcaster as well too. The Top 5 Chew podcast. Definitely, guys, be sure to check it out on everywhere where you listen to your podcasts. Nathalie Galde. Nathalie, how are you?
Hi, Franky. I'm good. How are you?
Good, or Natty. I mean, you don't have a preference. So I mean, as long as it's
No.
because you guys will notice in the description, it's it's spelled Nathalie. So do you have people get confused by that sometimes, or because people always take the word the way it's spelled, they always take it literally.
Constantly. Like, I always ask people, I'm like, have you ever met a Nathalie?
Not many can say that.
No. But yeah, the funny story, or very short, not funny story behind that name is my mom named me after Natalie Wood.
Oh,
but
okay.
she wanted my name to be unique, so she added an H to it.
Oh, okay.
And here I am explaining that name to people years later.
That's still pretty cool though, because I mean, like you're
Yeah.
probably like one of the you. I think you're the first Natalie I know that has an H in their name. So I think
Really?
this is quite an honor. I don't think I've ever talked to a Natalie that had an H in their name. So this is this is an honor. The only Natalie that I know with
I'm
that.
happy to pop this cherry for you, Frankie. It's my pleasure.
Awesome. I appreciate that. I appreciate that very much. And I also appreciate you taking time out of your busy life. As I mentioned, you're multi-talented and lots on the go. But then on top of that, your professional life, you're also a mom as well too. So I mean
Yeah.
that also adds on top of it. How do you balance personal and professional life?
I would say poorly. Um, I think I'm a newish mom. My kid's almost 2, so I'm still kind of coming out of that haze of, new momhood. Hormones have started waning, and I'm able to make that time available where I'm figuring out like, oh, I'm only really available, daytime hours now. I can't do that nighttime performer stuff anymore. So I've had to kind of refocus like, where am I going to continue to work? And that's become a lot of more filmed things, production things, or things that are really just, one day jobs where they don't really affect my day to day. Because once 4:30 hits, 4:30 p.m., I'm in full mom mode until sometimes 8:30, 9 p.m. So it's I don't really know how to put it. It's every day is touch and go.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And it's funny how you see so many people do it where they're having 5 kids and they're also working like 5 jobs. And I'm like, how do you do it? Like I see like my sister doing it. My sister's got 2 kids. Well, I mean,
Hmm.
one's 7 and one's 2. But even seeing her go, I mean, like, sure, the oldest one's, she's older now. I mean, like my youngest niece is the same age as your daughter.
Hmm.
But even just seeing them go, I'm like, how do they do it? Like, how do they
Yeah.
do it? It's crazy. I got a dog. That's all I got for kids right now. So I now I'm like, even that, I'm like, oh my God, how do real parents do it? So I applaud you guys for all the hard work that you guys do. Um,
No,
s-
thank you.
I was
Yeah.
just gonna say, I noticed that you have a Thor Ragnarok poster. I like that one a lot.
I do. My daughter thinks that Thor is her dad, so that's great. Yeah.
Is that every woman's dream to be married to Chris Hemsworth?
I guess I am married to Chris Hemsworth, and I didn't even know it. But she also thinks that the this is the poster from Ragnarok, so the evil sister, she thinks that's me. So I guess I married my brother, according according to the lore of the poster.
Not weird at all, right?
No, no, incest, it's natural, it happens.
People will hear this and take that literally. Like, no, guys, we do not condone it. Like, just
Hmm.
it's all
Slash S, it's sarcasm. Yes, yes.
yes, exactly. For people who didn't get that, you got to check your sarcasm detectors because they need
Hmm.
to be recharged or something. Do you still keep up with the Marvel movies and stuff nowadays, or?
I like it. We've got that Disney Plus account. It's good for Bluey too. But I think the last Marvel thing I started and haven't finished is What If second season. Starting trying to get back into that one. Um, Loki, I think, was the last full series I watched. So I'm trying to keep up.
Can keep up. And it's well, like
Yeah.
it's so funny nowadays with movies. Like I still keep up with Marvel and stuff, but for me, I'm like, I don't go into movies having to do homework. I don't like that. You're like, okay, well, to watch this movie,
Hmm.
you got to go watch this on Disney Plus, and then watch that in theaters, and then watch these on Disney Plus. I'm like, I don't want to watch do homework. You know what I mean? Like, there's just some of them that
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't have time to constantly be going through. I mean, like, do you prefer that method where you have to, do your homework to watch a movie? Like,
It's not my favorite. I get there's this kind of, Greek theater part to it, where back in the day, audiences already knew the mythology going in, so they already knew these characters, they already knew where things were going. So I kind of appreciate this kind of hearkening back to it, but I also didn't watch Agent Carter, and I refused to, because I can't. I don't know. I don't know why I couldn't watch that show. It just wasn't watchable for me. That's my opinion. I don't want people to think Agent Carter is trash. I think it's probably good for some people. Um, but yeah, like I can't. I can't go and say, well, I needed to make sure that I read comic book, issue 3, version 5 or whatever, just to make sure that I knew that, the Hulk in this specific movie, actually this is going to be Hulk number 7052. Like that's exhausting. Um, but I guess that's also what I really liked about Loki is the series, is it just completely, if you haven't seen it yet, they just hit a massive reset on the whole series because they destroyed the timeline. So it's great.
Spoiler alert. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, yeah. For those of you who haven't seen it, Loki is actually pretty badass.
He is very badass. He is very badass. I mean, I'm behind on all that stuff.
Oh, oh, oh.
Not one. No, no, no. That's very best. I knew what happened. I was like, I'd always like watch like clips and stuff like that, but it's hard to commit time to watch that much to prepare for this. I'm just like,
Oh
whatever.
yeah.
I mean, like the odd time I
Yeah.
will, but it's
I
interesting.
mostly caught up during the first year, the first few months as a mom. I was doing a lot of breastfeeding just in front of the TV. So it was just a matter of like finish the session and then she'd fall asleep and I'd be like, all right, what do I do now? Because I'm trapped under a baby. So I would just turn on the TV. I think I watched a lot of Dallas too while I was nursing. I don't know. There's quite a lot of television to be watched when you're stuck under a child.
Yes, exactly. And that's one of the best parts about just I mean like whether you're on leave, you just had a surgery and you can't do nothing.
Hmm.
TV, there's always so much to be caught up with. And I mean, speaking of
Absolutely.
TV, my God, you've done like almost like everything. TVs, short films. One in particular, we were talking about before we started recording. Real American. Guys, check out Real American on you can find it on YouTube. It's what's the company? Pearland Films. Is that how you pronounce that?
Oh,
Or
oh, P Perelandra Pictures is the
that's
name
it.
of the company. Yes, that's
There.
Jacob De La Rosa, who's the writer, director, creator. He's significantly talented. Yes.
They're fantastic, fantastic. So guys, definitely be sure to check that out. And I find web shows always get overlooked. Like shows on YouTube. Like there's so much good stuff out there,
Hmm.
but I find it's not they're not as like well known as like Netflix. I mean, like Netflix I guess is technically a web series because it's on the web. But like shows like on YouTube and stuff like that I find don't get the credit that they deserve. What's your opinion on that?
I think a lot of it falls in the post-production situation. Like Real American, for example, is a show with so many talented, dedicated people who worked for almost nothing or nothing. A lot of these people, we were just doing it out of passion. And this show, so much money was put into creating it and getting it produced, which there's a lot of visual effects. There's even some practical effects that needed to be chroma keyed and all these things that were super cool. That costs money. So by the time that you finish producing it, there's almost nothing left for marketing. There's almost nothing left for putting it out there. So it falls on the shoulders of the very same people who made it to now have to take it a step further and be like, "Hey, will you see my show?" And social media is just not conducive to it, I don't think. I think that people are really supportive of you did a thing that's so cool. I'm so proud of you. That's so great. But there's the difference between hitting the like button and actually clicking the link and going to go see the video. And I think something I experience a lot just with friends who send me videos on social media, there's a certain time of day where I can't watch something with sound on. And I'm not one of those people who walks around with headphones in my ears. So I can't watch it. So I put it off till later. And later becomes 3 days later. 3 days later becomes 2 months later. And then I end up never watching it, which is terrible. So I just finally, when I catch up and I'm just like kind of scrolling through the very last video this person sent me, I'll go, like, beautiful video, so great. I'll try to at least watch the very last video they sent me. But I think people's time is just being taken left and right and left and right. So things like web series, they need to be really compelling and Uh, they need to be they need to be loved by the very people who made it to put it in front of them. And this show never really got a premiere. Like we did the premiere for YouTube, but we didn't have like an event. We didn't bring everyone together again um after everything was done. There was no wrap party. And part of the reason for that is because we're all scattered. Like this was produced in Michigan. I'm in Chicago. A lot of people came from all over the place to make this come true. So, and then you've got the pandemic that also kind of put a huge nail in everything. I think this series was finished filming in beginning of 2019. I'm really off on my dates. It was definitely before 2019. Um, and then we didn't actually see the first episode until October 2020. So it's it's been through a lot, I would say. So this particular series, I would say that's what's going on. But in general, I would say marketing marketing is hard. Marketing is so hard.
Absolutely. It's not as easy as people think. People say, what's the,
No.
just put it out there. Like, there's money involved in marketing as well, too. Like, there's another, like, like lots of dollars being thrown just to
Hmm.
get the word out. How would you compare the post-production on a web series as opposed to TV? Because I know TV, well, and movies as well too, they take lots of time to like show
Hmm.
a wrap. Let's say if a show wrapped today, you wouldn't see it till like December, January. But for a web show, is it different? Is it the same? Is it kind of both?
I'd say for a web show, what you're dealing with is for lack of a better word, manpower. With a web show, there's a lot of these one person bands on the end in post production. Like we just wrapped on a short film that's an indie project, and it's currently in the hands of one editor who is going to put everything together. And this is a short that doesn't have any significant um, effects, very few practical effects. The only thing we're doing chroma key on is like an insert of the phone screen. And so it's a pretty simple process. This is probably going to be done in a couple months versus a web series like Real American. There is effects galore on top of, color correction, composition, which we're doing the same thing with this other short film, of course. But because of the massive scale of it, 10 episodes, 10-minute, 10 episodes in some cases, um, and one person being the person doing it instead of a team of people that you would have in a studio backed production where you have different departments working on things, and you can dump a lot of things on an assistant editor or things like that. We don't have teams like that in indie projects. The more indie, the less team. And what I mean by that is some indie projects are really just one person who wanted to bring something to life. But there are more professional, independent productions that are production companies. Like here in Chicago, we have Full Spectrum Features. They're a phenomenal Chicago entity of independent filmmakers that they've taken the time to construct a team. So I see them churning out on average like 5 projects a year, which is not actually common for independent film. Um, so I think it really is, yeah, it comes back down to budget. That's the
Yeah.
difference.
That's
Yeah.
that's really like the stopper of all things. It's like, okay, we want to do this. Oh, but is it in the budget? No, it's not. So we kind of got to go back
Hmm.
to the drawing board. But that's real interesting because you say indie films. That's a good way to put it. I never even thought about that, which is the more was it the more indie or the more independent it is, the less team you have, which is really
Yeah.
interesting. How about these short films? So of course you have an upcoming short film called Shh. Very anticlimactic. Shh. Um, how was that process? So you guys just finished wrapping that, correct? Or
Yeah,
filming
that
it?
was
Sorry,
super
finished
fun.
finished wrapping it. Finished
We
filming it.
just wrapped on it. Yeah. It's I was a first AD on this, and it was great because it was one day. Um, and our fearless leader, Miguel Lepe, who's the writer director, And the producer, he managed to get a bunch of grants to be able to bring this to life. Um, he brought together this incredible team of people who we all have our fingers in other professional settings that when we come together, it's as if a studio put us together, which was such a great feeling to be held by those people. And as the first AD to not be running around thinking, oh God, I'm working with student filmmakers. Like I didn't have that feeling at all. So we wrapped, maybe we were like an hour behind. And that story is about a father and a daughter just kind of having a moment. It takes place in the middle of an evening. It's about 7 minutes long, and it's just a conversation they have when she sneaks back home into her bedroom and her dad catches her. And it's this beautiful moment of, a father and daughter kind of reconnecting. And I feel like it's a really healing story for people who couldn't do that. Like you couldn't sneak out of your house and have your parents be cool.
It's just not a thing. It's just not a
Not a
thing.
thing.
Like there's
Not a
even
thing.
all those TikToks they'll do. Dad, when you come home late and dad's there, dad just sits there and like, yeah, see, and then mom, and then as opposed to mom, you're 1 minute late. What were you doing? And she's sitting there and she does
Right,
like the evil villain twirl. The well,
right.
where have you been? Like those are always the best.
Absolutely. My mom, I remember in college, they were much more liberal with me. I finally had my own car and everything. But my mom, she's so Puerto Rican. I don't know how else to put this. I would get home. I was pushing it. It'd be like 2, 3 in the morning, and I think to myself, "There's no way she's up. There's no way." I told her I'm going to be late. There's no way. And I'm walking through the door, and she's sleeping. She's laying on the couch right next to the front door. And she gets up and she's like looking at the time and she's like, okay, good to see you're home. And then she'd go to bed. And I would tell her all the time, like, why do you do that? You don't have to do that, Mom. She's like, you don't understand. When you're a mom, you'll understand. And I am a mom right now of a 2-year-old or almost 2-year-old who's not doing that currently. I hope not. I hope my 2-year-old isn't sneaking out. Um,
Just crawled out of
but
her crib at night.
Could you imagine? But I do get what she's saying of this idea of like you just can't rest until you know that they're safe, So I get it. I just wish she would have done it from her bedroom, like the fact that I had to come home and feel guilty that she stayed up out of her own bed was just like that's such a classic Latina mom thing of like making you feel like shit about the fact that you made her stay up late, even though she's totally in control of her actions.
No, exactly. Well, I mean, and I mean, like, I can't speak that I don't have kids, but I mean, like, even like with like friends and stuff like that, that they're traveling
Mhm.
somewhere late, like on the highway where there's lots of moose, and you're just like, text me when you get home. And even sometimes with them, you're just like I can't relax until I know that you made it
True.
from point A to point B. I think that's just normal for anybody.
Yeah.
And I find entertainment too, watching movies and stuff like that, where you see those types of, uh, like even watching those old family sitcoms like Full House and stuff like that. Back then, you wouldn't think much of it, and then
Hmm.
seeing it, watching it nowadays, you're like, oh, like that, like I actually relate to that. Do you agree with that? Where entertainment, you watch it back then, and then you have a whole new perspective on it once you're an adult.
Oh yeah. Like suddenly you're on the parent side, like in what's the one that's been going around? Parent Trap. Parent Trap makes no sense as an adult, right? Like who allowed these two people to divorce and separate the twins across two different countries?
Who does that?
That's insane. Like that's so traumatizing for these kids to then bump into each other randomly at a camp and then they want to get them back. Like that whole idea, that whole concept makes no sense to the point where you're like, honestly, I find Dennis Quaid to be a terrible father. Like and is he paying child support and is she paying child? How does this work? Makes no sense at all. And yeah, there's other movies where, you're just like in Home Alone, where you're just like, wow, Macaulay Culkin, could you just take a beat? Could you just chill? It's so look, there's a million people in this house. Like, can you just, it's not about you, buddy. And it just it just gives you perspective the older that you get. Like, and I think that's a good thing, right? I think that says something really good about us as adults is we become more conscientious and we realize that the world around us is much more complicated and layered than, the outlook that a child has, where everything is just very, where your world is really just this big because you have no idea.
Absolutely. Well, I watch Full House nowadays. Back then, Michelle would do something and I'd be on Michelle's side. I'm like, yeah, like, come on, like they should lighten up. Now I watch it as an adult.
Right.
I'm like, I hate that kid.
Yeah, absolutely.
Am I the only one who does that? I'm like, I hate the kid. I'm like, oh my God, she's such a brat. Like, or
No, you're
Caillou.
not alone. You're not alone at all. I definitely feel like I, especially a lot of these movies with teenagers, like 16 Candles and Ferris Bueller's Day Off, like the principal trying to find him. I so side with him now, and it's weird because you shouldn't. That's not the point. He's technically the foil, he's totally your bad guy. But oh my God, you've got this persistent, uh, shitty little snotty kid from the suburbs who won't, listen to the rules. He's always bucking you left and right, disrespecting you. And now you've got a chance, you've got a real chance to like, sock it to him and get him in detention or whatever it is that he wanted to do, suspend him. And just that, you know, the fact that he's chasing him around the city trying to find him is so sad. I feel bad for him. Where's his team? Why was nobody backing this guy up? He's the principal of the school. There's
He's
no
a one-man
no other
army.
employees? Seriously.
I actually didn't even think about that. Now, every time I watch the movie now, I'm literally going to be thinking that, like, where is his A team? Like,
Where's his
why
team?
is he doing this by himself?
Like there's no assistant principal, there's the school district, he doesn't have people he can call. There isn't, I mean, today there'd be cameras everywhere where he could just kind of call somebody at another school and say, "Did you pick him up on your feed?" Like, I don't know.
Oh, if
I
Ferris Bueller happened today, it would be a complete different movie. The movie would be done in like 10 minutes.
Absolutely. Just a bunch of texting back and forth.
Where's Ferris? Oh, he's here. Okay, I'm on my way.
Yeah.
Roll credits. Like that's it. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Not really.
So many problems solved by technology.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, I see your dog. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What kind of dog is that?
He is a mini pincher. His name's Louis, and
Oh, Louis. Hey,
he's my little
Louis.
old man. He can't hear us,
Oh,
unfortunately,
sorry. My
but
dog beside me is like, what? What? Like, no, don't. Not you, buddy. Not you.
what's your dog? What's his name?
Mine's a golden doodle named Ozzy. He's got about 80 pounds on your dog.
Aw. Oh yeah, he's like a little 13
You
pound
guys,
over here.
you guys can't see this, but here, I'll turn the camera. So here, Ozzy. There we go. Oh.
Is that, oh my God, he looks like a blanket.
He does. He is my blanket. Like literally, he is my blanket. Ozzy, look, buddy. Oh wait, my camera is.
Ozzy.
There we go. There. I'm like,
Oh,
my
he's
camera.
so cute.
Camera's on a stand. He's just like he doesn't even look. I can't even see his head. There he is. Ozzy, look.
Oh my God, he's out.
He's just done. He's so done. You guys can't see that; it's audio only. But anytime dogs come up in conversation, it's like that's when the whole tone of the podcast shifts.
That's so funny. Well, your dog's name is Ozzy. Ozzy Quintana is the name of my high school drama teacher.
Oh, no way.
And yeah, and I'll just give him a shout out. He's just a phenomenal person. He he put up with a lot with us in high school. I went to Southridge Senior High in Miami Southridge, which we were not a good school. We didn't have a significantly great drama program, and he came in at a left field. And I think he was a really young teacher, if I think on it now. Like he really didn't know what the hell he was doing at the time. He was just kind of rolling with the punches, trying to figure out how to be a teacher. Um, and I think realizing in that moment that being a drama teacher, but let alone being a teacher, is a lot more than just knowing what you know and relaying information. It's especially with drama students, it's making these connections with kids who they're in drama for a reason. You know, we we were seeking self-expression, and we were seeking the safety of somebody who saw us at our level. And he was someone who really did that. Um, and now, he's got these two grown kids of his own who are pursuing drama, and I think of him from time to time. We still keep in touch. Sometimes he was up here a couple years ago actually and visited with us, and I just love I love those memories of I still remember watching Teletubbies with his kid because he had to bring him to school one day, and he put Teletubbies on the TV in the classroom, and he just had like 30 teenagers watching Teletubbies with a 6-month-old.
Nothing better though. There's nothing better than
No.
Teletubbies. I still watch it.
There you go. That's a public school education right there.
I was watching it before we started recording here today. But
It
I
gets you
saw.
psyched up.
Yes, exactly. It really, really does. It really does, and that's why I will watch it till the end of time. I was kind of going through your thing, and I noticed this here. So you're a performer and teacher at Annoyance Theatre, and I said, "Well, Annoyance
Hmm.
Theatre, what is that?" Tell the audience what Annoyance Theatre is. I'm like, is that a school? Is that a theater? Is it a theater? Like, what's the deal with that Annoyance Theatre? That's an interesting name.
Happily. The Annoyance Theater is an improv theater here in Chicago, which was founded by Jen Eslin and Mick Napier. Mick Napier is the writer of Behind the Scenes, and that's actually the second book. I'm being a terrible person right now, and I can't remember the name of the first book. Um, but uh, Mick is someone who studied with well, not studied with, he played with Del Close and a lot of these really great names that we know today in Second City. He's been kind of behind the scenes of a lot of people's comedy careers. And the Annoyance Theater is this home that they made back in like 1987, where improv is it gets to just be whatever it wants to be. I think we're called the fuck it theater because our approach to improv is really just take care of yourself. So that's what I teach. I teach um right now I teach levels 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'll be doing the intensive this summer. I'll be teaching level 5, and and then I also perform with a team, one of the longest running house teams at the Annoyance, called Fire and Beer. We do shows on Saturdays at 8. I personally, as a new mom, I have not been as much of an active team member. So I really am. I've kind of fallen behind the scenes in terms of like getting people scheduled and making sure that I have to actually send a schedule out today. Making sure that people are available and beefing up the cast when we're low on body count. But yeah, we're an improv theater. We do improv, we do sketch. We also do um we've had scripted performances. We had Die Hard the musical there a couple years ago. Yes, it's as cool as it sounds, Die Hard the musical. Steamworks is a really popular musical we've had. Every year we do splatter theater for Halloween. Um, Trying to think, Burlesque is More is also a staple show of ours. Hitchcock Tales is another good one. Um, a lot of great sketch, and we even have open mic nights and open jams for stand-ups and students.
Oh wow. Oh my God, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Also, Die Hard the musical? I heard that. I was like,
Yes.
hold on. I literally like paused. I was like, wait, Die Hard the musical? That's a thing,
Yeah.
really? Is that
Yeah.
something that's already done, or did you guys write that? What was the
I had nothing to do with it. I just got to see it. I'm trying to remember the name of one of the co-writers. He's someone who what what Alex Garde. Alex Garde is one of the co-writers. He works with this escape room company right now. And they took Die Hard and they took all the really fun tropes about it, and they designed this musical that really just it poked a lot of fun at the whole movie in general. Like, how is this a story? How is this a movie? Um, and then really banking on the fact that it's a Christmas movie. So it's become this, for me, it's become this really cool tradition to go see Die Hard the musical instead of going to see the Nutcracker every year. And I'll be remiss if I don't mention that our drag scene is also to die for. we're an incredibly um, open space for LGBTQ plus people, and we do like I say we. I have not been able to participate in much of this, but I just got to make sure I put it out there. Um, like RuPaul Drag Race, like we'll do watch parties at the bar. They do drag shows inside the bar. There's like this corner stage, and we do these huge shows. We actually we had a police bust happen a couple weeks ago during one of our shows, which was
Oh,
hilarious. Yeah. It had nothing to do with anybody there. It was a robbery that took place across the street, and the thieves came up into the theater and they snuck in, and then right in the middle of a show. So there was an artist, Dairy Queen, who was about to perform. We caught this on surveillance footage, and then you just see the police come in, guns up, and they're like, "Freeze!" And it's just so funny. Like that just does not happen
so did the whole
ever.
show stop? Or did it keep going? What?
People thought it was a part of the show, which is just classic comedy theater shenanigans. Uh, the performer didn't know what to do with it, but they just kind of went with it. I think they were about to play the song that was playing was the devil something in Georgia. What's the one, the fiddle?
Devil Went Down to Georgia.
Devil went down to Georgia. They were about to do that song, and they were dressed like the devil, with this. If your listeners want to try to find that video, I think they put it on their Instagram. It's at Dairy Queen, Derry Queen.
Oh,
Um,
DERRY or I?
why?
Why? Dairy
Yeah.
Queen. I almost spelled it like the restaurant Dairy Queen. So there we go.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. I think that's
Dairy.
yeah, that's what they're playing with.
Play on words.
Just such a funny thing that happened. But yes, our drag scene is to die for. We love drag. That, and I think burlesque is more was one of the inciting shows to kind of make that come to life at that space.
Okay, wow. Oh my, I gotta look
Yeah,
that up now. Oh my God, that's insane. I never ever heard of that
that's the Annoyance
happening
Theater.
ever.
Yeah.
That's insane. That's so good. Oh my God. So you guys do so you've done literally everything because then you're also a producer at Bad Meal Inc., which this is something I don't know if I've ever heard of before. Short films based on poems. That is
Yes.
so interesting. How did you guys come up with that idea?
I'm just a busy bee for this company. Like Bad Mule Inc. is this kind of brainchild of Mark Roberts, who I guess during the pandemic he got to writing poems. He wanted to write these funny, sardonic poems that they're a little family friendly, but they're definitely leaning on the adult friendly side. And I think after writing the poems, he animated them and he started printing these newspapers, these free newspapers, which everyone can get on badmuleinc.com. You can download them directly, or you can order some for your school or whatever. Like we're constantly charting them out. Um, so he made these newspapers, and then he wanted them to come to life. He wanted them to be more. So he started turning them into short films. But instead of, doing it himself, he wanted to create this space for emerging artists. So he's a self-proclaimed Googler. So he got on Google and he just started looking at people in cities that he knew, and he knew Chicago really well. So he's come across quite a few artists in Chicago, in LA, in Texas, in New York, um, where he'll say, "Hey, I'll pay you this much money and make this make this into this poem into a film." And I think we've got, geez, I don't know the count right now. I think we've got maybe 13 or 15 poems that have been cut into short films. And he's also done live recordings of these poems being performed. The last live recording we did um, was with Laura Hall, who is from Whose Line? Whose Line Is It Anyway? I don't, do you know about
Oh,
that show?
oh yes, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So Laura
Oh
Hall used to be
wow.
the musical director on that show. Um, so with Laura Hall and Rick, she composed this bluegrass song that is so catchy, and it's about Ken Burns, the documentarian. Uh, and it's very silly and dumb and stupid. But we put it together with, these collaborations of this bluegrass band, this singing trio Babylon 5, and then Rick and Laura. And with everyone's efforts, they designed this show that you would definitely hear a song like this on like Prairie Home Companion. Like it has this like Grand Ole Opry feel. Um, and before that, we did a recording with Gina Shock of the Go-Go's.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
yes. So she did for this recording, we took a bunch of Mark's poems, and between Mark and Gina, Mark performed them live, and Gina did sound effects to just kind of underscore everything that he was saying. And we put that album out just a couple months back. So it's there's so much going on. We're about to start working on two more poems, and he's trying to put out the third volume of the newspaper. So eh, I don't every time I do this job, like every time I work for Mark, I'm just like, I don't know what the fuck we're doing, but this is awesome. This is just such a great experience, you know.
And so
He
unique too.
It's so unique, and he just brings together so many people who would never work together. You know what I mean? Like having Gina Shock, a rock and roll Hall of Famer, uh 80s band rock star, doing, fart noises for poems. That's just unheard of. Who would imagine that such a thing could happen? And he makes it happen. Yeah.
That's so cool. So literally any sound you can make into art. Like
Yes. Yes.
just a fart
She
noise, just that's one film right there.
Yeah, that was actually such a fun part of the creative process, is trying to, before we're recording everything, we're going through the poems and we're trying to figure out what's a good sound for this, what's a good sound for that. We get to this fart sound, and everyone's like, I don't know, we could do like a whoopee cushion or whatever. And then she just went and she put her hands up like this, and everyone was like, yeah, that works, that plays. And it wasn't even about, of course it was fucking hilarious, but it wasn't about the fact that it was funny in that moment. It was just like, oh, solution to the problem. Awesome.
A bland story, but farts are always funny. That's the one thing. That's always get to laugh.
Always. Farts are always funny. I will fight anyone who tells me otherwise.
But it's not even like it could be a joke that is not funny, but if there's a fart in it, that's when it's like,
Mhm.
okay, now it's like that's never not going to be funny. You know what I mean?
Because, yeah, and that's pure timing right there. Any tense situation. If somebody farted at a funeral, I would die at that funeral of laughter. Do you know
Like
what I
you
mean?
be in the
Like it's
casket too.
just, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I'd be like, that was the best time fart. That's it. I can die happy now. That's perfect.
That's like, this is such an artsy fartsy podcast. I love it. And we could talk for hours about this, but I know you are very, very busy. So before I let you go, feel free to plug the Top 5 Chew podcast, which is a terrific
Oh,
podcast. Feel free to give a little plug for that. Guys, definitely be sure to check that out. But Natty here will tell you what it is and why you should listen to it.
thanks, Frankie. Yeah, Top 5 Chew is something that was born out of a combination of boredom and a desire to like do something meaningful with comedy. So this podcast, what we do is we take very niche topics and we turn them into these digestible listicles where, for example, our very first episode is one of my favorite episodes with Miguel Lepe, my director of Shh and Guitar Thief. And in that episode, our topic is top 5 ways parenthood has humbled us, which is an insanely long title. You wouldn't really do that for shows. And we really just sit down and in that episode, we just discuss, what is it about being a parent that has just knocked us to the ground and made us realize, man, we are not hot shit. And we got some really wonderful dialogue out of that, and it's super vulnerable too, and it's funny. Um, and that's kind of my goal. There's kind of like a social justice angle to it, of bringing people to the table and combining thought processes and experiences and points of view, and recognizing each other for the universal experiences that we all tend to have, that we're all in this together, and at the same time, our individual experiences um, are not negated by uh, popular thought, things, rhetoric that gets out there that can be very dismissive of the individual experience. So top five chew is fun, but it's also it's not always lighthearted. Sometimes the topics can be super dark. We did one episode that was top five alternatives to the death penalty, and I stand by it. It was a great episode with my friend Vanessa Garcia, and we talked about a lot of serious things, and but at the core of it, we were trying to figure out what can we do besides putting these people to death. What is another option that we have? And yeah, we want to explore answers. We want to explore things, but we're not scientific. We're not professionals in that regard, and everything is purely entertainment opinion. So I definitely like to preface that. But thank you so much for helping me boost that show. We're sponsored by DCASE, which is a City of Chicago department that supports creative arts. So thankfully, because of them, I'm able to pay all of my guests, which is a really wonderful feeling.
Oh, awesome. Oh, wow. That's really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Congratulations on all that, by the way. Like, wow, that's awesome. And
Thank you.
not just on the podcast, but just everything you're doing, the Annoyance Theatre, Bad Meal Inc., and also Real American. That was fantastic. Guys, definitely be sure to check that out on YouTube. We could go on and on about this stuff, but as I said, you are very, very, very busy. Your daughter's probably crying for attention right now. Like, stop ignoring me. Stop ignoring me. Does she do
I
that
would not
sometimes?
be able to do this if she were not in daycare right now, which
Oh,
is
okay,
what's
that's good.
happening.
That's good. The
For
kids
sure.
always do
Yeah.
that. If the parents are like talking to somebody, they'll just scream and scream, and then once you
Oh
go to
yeah.
them, they're like, hi.
She's pulled a Stewie Griffin on me constantly. I'm trying to talk to another adult, and she's like, "Ma, mama, ma, ma, mama, ma." I'm like, "What? What do
Hi.
you want?" Hi,
Hi.
hi, mama.
I thought you were to say she like tried to kill you, like Stewie Griffin, because that's what he
No,
tries to
no.
kill his mother all the
She
time.
sometimes she'll run at me. She does this a lot, especially like in her gymnastics class. Like she'll straight up just run at me like full speed and knock me out, and then laugh hysterically like it's the funniest thing in the world. Meanwhile, my back is just like on hanging by a thread at this point.
You're like, I'm gonna need like
Yeah.
surgery in like
Hmm.
right now it's tolerable, but then in like 5 years, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna need surgery. It'll all
Right.
catch up with me.
Yeah. At this point, I'm just in denial that I feel any pain.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly. Stubborn. That's the way to go. Stubborn.
Yeah.
But Natalie, thank you so much for coming on. Great chatting with you, and congratulations on everything again. And guys, definitely be sure to check out the Top Five Chew podcast. And where can people find you on a social media? Do you have Instagram or any of that stuff?
Yeah.
Or yeah.
Totally. On Instagram, I'm Nati con queso, but it's not spelled the right way. So it's NATTYKONKSO. Top Five Chew is also on Instagram. Not properly managed because I'm slow with marketing, but top5chew.com. You can catch all the episodes as well as on Spotify, Apple, Audible, iHeartRadio. We're on all of those platforms. Uh, that's all of my social media presence, I think.
Oh, perfect. Awesome. So, guys,
Yeah,
definitely be sure to go follow Natty and just keep up to date with everything she's doing. Thank you so much for coming on, and let's definitely do this again sometime. I'd love to have you back on.
absolutely. Thank you so much, Frankie.
Yes, my pleasure. So, guys, we are going to take a short break. We'll be right back. But until then, this is Frankie and Natalie signing off. Thank you so much. And Nathalie Galde. Thank you so much, Natalie, for coming on. And guys, definitely be sure to check out the Top 5 Chew podcast everywhere you listen to your podcast, Spotify, Apple, all that stuff. So thank you, Natalie, for coming on. Had a great time. Or Natty, because she has an H in her name. I was like, is it Nathalie? Is it Nat? Whatever. But thank you so much, Natalie, for coming on. I really appreciate it. So, moving on to the solo segments today, I wanted to talk a little bit about Quentin Tarantino. Now, Quentin Tarantino, I mean, I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that he is probably one of, some people might consider him the greatest filmmaker of all time. That's subjective. I mean, like, I think he is fantastic. I think Pulp Fiction stands out to me as one of like the greatest films ever made. I really, really do think so. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was fantastic as well. Actually, you know what? While we're doing this Quentin Tarantino, going through his projects, I'm going to kind of go through each of them. So, yeah, he wants to retire after his 10th film. And so here we are. So Reservoir Dogs. All right, now some of these I have not seen, so just I will throw that out there. But I'll go through the ones that I have. So Reservoir Dogs, I've seen half of it, but I never finished it. Pulp Fiction I've seen, and it's terrific. As I said, I think it's one of the best films ever made. Jackie Brown I haven't seen. Both Kill Bill movies I have seen, and they're great. Death Proof I haven't seen. Inglourious Bastards, same as Reservoir Dogs. I saw half of it. I'll be honest, Inglourious Bastards didn't intrigue me as much. So I never really had the drive to go back and finish it. But yeah, but there's that. And then Django Unchained, of course, terrific film. The Hateful Eight I haven't seen. And Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which with of course Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio, is absolutely stellar. That movie's great. And so Quentin Tarantino is going to call it quits after his 10th film. Now, it was supposed to be titled The Movie Critic, and now, of course, those plans have fallen apart. It's been kind of public that that's not what he's making as his final movie. So I'm not going to talk about what I think his final film is going to be. I'm going to kind of just, we trust Quentin Tarantino. If this is his last film, we'll let him go out however he wants to go out. That's up to him. But with regards to this topic, I wanted to ask, is Quentin Tarantino really retiring? This is something I've seen some people question on Reddit and all other, Twitter and stuff like that, and some YouTube comments like, oh, come on, he's not really retiring. He's just saying that, yada, yada, yada. And, okay, maybe he's not, or maybe he is, but here's the thing. Someone like Quentin Tarantino, who has been praised as one of, if not the greatest filmmaker of all time, I think he's one of the, he's got to be up there for sure. Whether he's the greatest one in a world with Martin Scorsese and a lot of other very, very talented filmmakers, that's kind of, but, or Francis Ford Coppola. But still, I think Tarantino has to be in the question, or in the discussion. So he wants to go out with a bang. He doesn't want to just keep on doing movies and movies and movies until eventually people are like, Quentin Tarantino, he's still making movies? Oh, geez. So I totally get that side of it. And for people who think that he's just saying that, he's not really done with films, I'll be honest, I think he is. I know several actors, filmmakers, they'll say that this is their last project. I think Anthony Hopkins said before Thor that he was done, he was going to retire, and then boom, he's Odin. So Johnny Depp was talking about retiring after The Lone Ranger. Boom, he made Black Hat, I think it was? Or not Black Hat, Black Mass, sorry. Black Mass, Pirates 5. He's made a few more since then. Fantastic Beasts, and then of course the drama with Amber Heard, but whatever, that's another topic for another time that we've already addressed several times. So actors will say that, oh, I think I'm done, this and that. Jim Carrey just said it recently that he said or not recently, 2 years ago, he said that I think, it was after Sonic 2 came out, he said, I think I'm ready to call it quits, and, I like my quiet life or whatever, and some of us were like, I believe him, and the next thing you know, boom, he's making Sonic 3, and as far as I know, he hasn't made any announcements that is his last time. But what do I think about Quentin Tarantino? Yeah, I think he's done. After this one, I really, really do think he's done. Now, because I know some actors and filmmakers will say they're done, but then they get bored of it. We always say no filmmaker like Quentin Tarantino or Martin Scorsese or any actors like Brad Pitt, Leonardo DiCaprio, they don't have to work a day in their lives. But what else would they do all day, But Quentin Tarantino, I know he said he wants to go focus on writing books, film literature. Like he wants to kind of, take a backseat. Still work, of course. So it's not like he's done. So he's still going to do stuff. It's just he's not going to be making big movies like Once Upon a Time Hollywood and stuff like that. We're not going to see those types of films again. But whether I think he could come back, I mean, he could. I'm not saying he can't. I just don't know if he's going to. I don't. He doesn't seem like one of those types of filmmakers or producers who would publicly say, yeah, I'm done. I'm not feeling it anymore and this and that. And I want to leave on a high note and then come back whenever he's bored and wants a paycheck. I don't think he's like that. I think to him, like he genuinely, and that's one thing I've always loved about Quentin Tarantino is that he's not just, of course, everyone has to pay the bill somehow, but he always seems to me like quality over quantity, and that's what I've always liked about Quentin Tarantino. That's the vibe I'm talking like I know the guy. I wish he hasn't returned my emails to be on this podcast, but I think he's done. I really do think he's done. We can call bullshit. We can say whatever we want about how no, he's gonna come back. He's gonna come back at some point. He's gonna get bored, this and that, yada yada, and maybe he will. But the way I see it, he wants to go out on a high note, and he doesn't want to be one of those filmmakers. Like I can't really think of a filmmaker off the top of my head. I think some people might say that about Scorsese. Some people will say that about Scorsese and go, oh my God, he's still making movies. Jeez. But I mean, hey, he's making a Sinatra movie with Leonardo DiCaprio. So, I mean, if that's his last one, I mean, like that's one hell of a way to go out. But with regards to Quentin Tarantino, I think he's done. Which, I mean, people can be upset about it, but to me, I think that's good because this kind of reminds me a lot of Vince Gilligan. And one of the reasons why Vince Gilligan remains to me probably like the best writer, producer, creator, anything of all time. And that is because he was offered like a few $1 million to make more seasons of Breaking Bad. And he said, no, the story ends there. We're not dragging it out. Other TV shows would have been, okay, $1 million. Let's keep on boom, 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 boom. Quantity over quality in that case. And then as they keep on making more, it just gets worse and worse and worse. So, and I don't think Tarantino's like that, which is good. And he's going to go out on a high note. What his last movie's going to be, I don't know. At the time of this recording, I don't know. Last I heard, he was scrapping the movie critic and was doing something else. What that something else is, we've yet to find out. But we'll find out soon. And, I'll definitely touch on it and everything. But Tarantino, man deserves to retire. I mean, he's only 61, which is weird. Yeah, he's the same age as my mom. My mom's going to be 61 in October. So, I mean, to him, if he wants, he's made enough money, enjoy his life. Do whatever you want. I mean, life's too short anyway. Like, we could drop dead tomorrow. We just don't know. So, kudos to him, whatever he wants to do. I mean, like, people are going to support him no matter what, like, no matter what he does. So, anyways, so that's my thoughts on that. I kind of wanted to just give my thoughts because, we have people saying, oh, come on, like he's not retiring. Like, geez, are you like, really? Come on. But, when you're someone like him, maybe it's time. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, maybe it's time. So anyways, guys, be sure to let me know your thoughts on social media. Is Quentin Tarantino really retiring? Is he just saying that? Or are you like me and think, no, I think he's sincere. He really wants to wrap things up. And hopefully he goes out with a bang, as I'm sure he will, because he's Quentin Tarantino. And so, guys, be sure to let me know your thoughts on that. And so for the last solo discussion today, I wanted to talk about Mufasa, the Lion King. So the trailer came out, the first trailer. First off, going back, you guys are probably like, what the hell is this? Mufasa, the Lion King. It's a sequel / prequel to the Lion King, but the live action one where we learn about Mufasa's backstory with him and Scar. Instead of making it, the 3D remake or 2D remake that it could have been, but whatever. If it was up to me, I would have had it animated like, the 2D. I wouldn't do it where it's live action. It's not really live action. It's live action styled. But anyways, that's besides the point. So they're doing a prequel to The Lion King, and I guess it's also kind of a sequel. I didn't know this part. The premise is the prequel about the rise of one of the greatest kings of the Pride Lands goes back to the African savannah, where Rafiki tells Kiara, daughter of Simba and Nala, the story of her grandfather, while Timon and Pumbaa add color commentary. Now that makes more sense. Why Timon and Pumbaa? I knew that Seth Rogen and Billy Eichner were coming back, but I'm like, how are they coming back if this is a prequel? But this makes more sense that we're also, so that's why it's also a sequel prequel, because we're gonna see the present where we got Simba's daughter Nala, who was in the sequel to the 2D animated one, which wasn't as good as it could have been. But anyways, I can make a whole topic about that, a whole video. Anyways, so the first trailer came out, and I gotta say, now I will give them credit. Now the first Lion King, quote unquote live action Lion King, to me was a letdown because I guess maybe it just didn't work for me having real or quote unquote real animals there. I keep saying quote unquote because it's not actually real. People think that they're real. No, they're not real. It's all completely animated. That's just the day and age that we live in nowadays. But so yeah, yeah, it didn't really work as a live action because I don't know, like seeing Mufasa's spoiler alert, Mufasa dies. Seeing him die in a live action one was laughable because like they literally just had the straightest face. Dad, get up, like get up, and he has no expression on his face. It's just a blank. So and I know people say, well, it's realistic. It's not. Sure, it might be realistic, but in real life, the lions wouldn't fucking talk either. So, that not true? That not accurate? But yeah, I'm like, they could have added a little bit more to it. I mean, like that was kind of a letdown. It was also kind of a letdown. I was very disappointed that they cut "Be Prepared." And it was still there, but it was like a 30-second version of it where it's just like they incorporated it in the dialogue. And it was I just didn't like it at all. Now, if I had watched it without knowing the original one existed, I probably would have liked it more. And that's probably what ruins it for me. But I'll be honest, Mufasa, after seeing the trailer, I had fairly high hopes for this one. I mean, the fact that it was quote unquote live action had me a little skeptical, because of how my feelings about the latest one that came out. But I gotta say, after seeing the trailer, my expectations are now higher. They're much, much higher than they were before. This trailer's fantastic, because it's not only stunning, it's giving us what we want. Or maybe it's not what everybody wanted, but it's what I wanted. I wanted to see Mufasa and Scar. I want to see their backstory. Scar, I think, is the best character in Lion King. He makes Lion King, and I think maybe that's why the second one kind of fell a bit flat for me, because he wasn't in it. And that was another thing too about the live action one, or the first one, the remake. Why I probably didn't like it as much is because I wanted Jeremy Irons back as Scar. I know people say, "Oh, they're rebooting it. You got to start fresh." But look, you got James Earl Jones back to play Mufasa. You could have got Jeremy Irons back. Like, not that Chiwetel Ejiofor did a bad job, but I was like, oh, really? Like, come on, Jeremy Irons is Scar, and he just had something about him. Now, people might have a different opinion than me, but in my opinion, I just thought, as good as Chiwetel Ejiofor is, I'm like, come on, Jeremy Irons, man, they should have just got him back. Him or Ben Mendelsohn. Ben Mendelsohn, if you guys don't know, of course, Ben Mendelsohn was in Rogue One, Star Wars story as the villain. And then, of course, Bloodline is where I know him best from. But he did this reading on YouTube of I Just Can't Wait to Be King, but it was like a sinister version of it, and it was gold. It was gold. I said, okay, Ben Mendelsohn, if Jeremy Irons isn't Scar, okay, that's fine, but get Ben Mendelsohn. And they went for Chiwetel Ejiofor. But and I get that Chiwetel Ejiofor's interpretation was different because he doesn't want to copy Jeremy Irons, but Jeremy Irons basically created, like, he built the foundation of Scar, and that he's gonna, like, you just can't recreate it. I'm like, if you're gonna do a remake, get Jeremy Irons back. Now I know that's probably not a popular opinion. That's just my opinion. But I'm like, if you got James Earl Jones back, come on, you couldn't have asked Jeremy Irons. I saw an interview. He said that he would have came back if they asked him. He didn't word it that way, but that's what he implied. Anyways, I'm going off on a tangent about Jeremy Irons. Fantastic. I just wish he would have been back. Anyways, moving on to the trailer. So this was fantastic because we're getting the Scar and Mufasa backstory. And if anything, if this movie disappoints or whatever, but at least one thing I'm confident will happen is it's going to change how we look at all of the Lion King. Because I think I don't know, like they haven't really told, like there's people who tell stories or like online, they write stories like fan fiction about Scar and Mufasa's backstory and that his real name was Taka, which is garbage in a different language. So they literally called him Garbage. So it's going to change how we look at both Mufasa and Scar, whether we like Scar and hate Mufasa by the end of it, or we still like Mufasa and hate Scar. Whatever, it's gonna trigger a lot of emotions and different feelings towards these characters. But regardless, after this trailer, I'm sold. Like, I'll be there. I will be there to watch this movie. I think it's gonna be fantastic. It looks beautiful. And Jon Favreau is actually not making this one. Barry Jenkins is making this one. Which Barry Jenkins, going on his Wikipedia here, he's an American filmmaker. He directed his first feature, Medicine for Melancholy, in 2008. What else did he got? Yeah, so he's like a Emmy Award nominee, Peabody Award, like and he won an Academy Award. So they got a good director in to do it. So I think we're in for a treat. I mean, I really do think we're in for a treat. So it comes out December 20th, 2024. I am super stoked for this. But guys, be sure to let me know your thoughts on it. And let's see how it turns out. I can't wait. I think once we get a second trailer, it's going to make me even more excited. So anyways, guys, so that is going to do it for the show today. I want to thank my guest, Nathalie Galde. Be sure to check out her podcast, the Top 5 Chew podcast. And also, guys, get your tickets for Love, Loss, and What I Wore. It will be out, or it'll be out. It's not a movie, it's a play. We open this Saturday. So you can get your tickets online or at Creative Grounds, branded on the Boulevard, and Town Hill Jewelry. So get those now, guys. Let's fill the house and let's support a good cause. And next week we're gonna have our Insider podcast where we're gonna have the cast on, and I'm so looking forward to it. So thank you guys so much for listening to the show today. I'll talk to you guys next week. Until then, this is Franky signing off. Have a great week.